And welcome back once again. If you're new here, my name is Rusty, and this is me channel where I talk about me favorite movies, mostly horror, and me favorite music, mostly metal. And we are going to finish up my little thoughts on the Joyride trilogy with Joyride 3 RoadKill. As you can see, I got the Blu-ray DVD combo of this one. I think you can get Joyride 2 now, which I might do, but on Blu-ray, I don't know. You don't really need these kind of movies on Blu-ray. I mean, it's not like you're looking at beautiful cinematography, but because that's not what these movies are about. But Joyride 3, RoadKill, unrated, of course. If there is a director's cut or anything, I'm going to have it and like it better than the theatrical, except for a couple of movies. Mimic is one of them. I don't know what Del Toro thought he was doing, but he fucked Mimic up. I mean, a lot of people don't like Mimic anyway, but the director's cut of Mimic is shit. I prefer the theatrical to it, but there's very, very few that are like that. Mimic is actually the only one I can think of right off my top of my head. But Joyride 3 RoadKill, now unrated, of course. Now, it was released in 2014, so once again, we had like 7-8 years between movies. The first one was 2001, 7 years later in 2008, we had two. And then 6 years later in 2014, did you see me count with my fingers? We had Joyride 3. So I don't know why there was so much time in between each one. It's kind of weird. But that's it. Because Joyride 3, RoadKill, unrated, 2014 is when it was released. Directed by Declan O'Brien. Written by Clay Tarver, based on his characters. And based on the characters by J.J. Abrams. And Declan O'Brien also wrote a little on it. Ken Kirzinger, Jesse Hutch, and Benjamin Hollingsworth stars in it. And yeah. So there we go. Now, I really like the intro to this one. It's a very long intro. It's probably, 12-14 minutes. It's a pretty long intro before the credits, pre-credit intros. I really like the intro for various reasons. One, I think it's really cool. Two, I really like the dude in the intro. We have a couple of really trashy meth heads, and they're hopped up, and the chick is especially hopped up, and she wants more. She's got to have more. The Mothman is flying through my living room because my living room window is open. Look at him. Where is he? Are we going to play a little game? But now I'm going to be distracted by that fucking moth the whole time. But there he comes again. I told you. Anyway. Okay. The two meth heads are desperate to get more dope. So the dude comes up with the worst idea that he's ever come up with. And they've got one of those handheld ham radios. I've got one sitting right back there, as a matter of fact. But he gets her to come in with his plan. And it's like, hey, we can get some hopped up trucker. So I don't know, is truckers always hopped up or something? These movies makes them out like that's a common thing. I don't know. I don't know anything about truckers. But he gets the idea that they can, like, she can get on there and flirt and get a hopped up trucker to come, and then they can roll him for their dope. And then, so she gets on there and tries that, and says that her name is Candy. And he's like, yeah, I used to know a candy cane. Which was a nod to the first movie. And he asks, can he bring some party favors? But he says that he doesn't party. So the dude, like, on the fly goes, wait, well, okay. Tell him to come anyway because we can roll him for his money and then go get some dope. So that's their plan. And Rusty comes, and Rusty, he didn't even begin to fall for it. Because when the dude opens the door to smash him, he grabs him by the throat and knocks his ass out just like that. It's like, I know something is probably going to happen when I open this door. At least he was prepared. He ends up tying them to the truck. Like, to the bonnet, the hood. So he's tied them to the bonnet. And he's told them that if they can stay on it for a mile, he'll let them off and give them this big bag of meth that he has now taped to the windshield. So he lets them know, though, but if you fall, the chains are rigged around the axle, and it's going to pull you both under the truck if either one of you doesn't stay where you're at. So that was a pretty tense thing as they go screaming down the road, trying to stay on. And sure enough, they make it, and the guy tells him, Rusty, tells them, okay, you made it, but it takes a while for a truck to stop. It's not like he's going to put on brakes. She's so hot for that meth that's taped to the window, her boyfriend can see that she's fixing to grab for it, which is going to cause them to die, and that's exactly what she does. And that's an ugly scene. I think they were probably both in at least 8 or 9 pieces. So there wasn't very many pieces that were big enough to realize what piece was what. It's like a head and an arm and an arm and a leg and half of a torso. So they were like ripped to shreds. So that was a pretty good intro. We then move on to the main story of it after a very good intro. I really did like the intro to Joyride 3. And the rest of the story is alright too. We have some bratty little street racing team. They're on their way to what's the rally? To a Road Rally 1000 in Canada. So they're going to have to go from Texas all the way up there. So Rusty Nail has obviously moved locations because he was active in Arizona. Now it looks like he's active in Texas. And Kansas, something like that. So they're going to have to go up there. And of course, they're little brats, as you would expect. Rusty Nail always seems to find little brats. Punks. So they stop on their little trip. They stop at a truck stop, of course, and they're kind of being assholes, like punks always are. And they are looking at the map for a shortcut. Don't take a shortcut. They did that in 2. Now they're doing it in 3. Never take a shortcut. So they see this road. They ask about the road. One of the patrons tells them, I wouldn't go down that road. It's known as the Slaughter Highway or something. They're like, whatever, we're going to do it anyway. And so there they go. Now, on the way, one of them is in their truck with the trailer and the other one's in the race car. So, and just like I said earlier, they don't really give too much indication whether this serial killer, Rusty Nail, whether he attacks completely innocent people or not, whether you have to fuck with him or not. They don't really let you know that I can recall whether he does that, because everyone that he messes with in these movies are people that get in his way or do something to them. So, I don't know. So, of course, they play chicken with him. Rusty Nail is not someone to play chicken with. So, these little people, and the team is Jordan and Mickey, Austin, Bobby, Jewel, and Lisa. These are Alyssa. These are the ones that are in the team. 2 girls, 4 or 5 guys. And they leave and go to that. So now that all of this stuff has started, they fuck with him. They play chicken with him, and that's all there is to it. You get a lot of road races. You get a lot of action of, them getting away from him finding them again. They're hauling ass trying to get out of the area. Like, let's just get from the bottom to the top. Let's just get to the border and get out of this, off this road. And unlike the other movies, the cops are actually aware of something going on, so they're kind of creeping around the edges of this movie. They're aware that bodies are being found as it continues. So they end up getting separated. I think it's Joel and Austin. They're the ones that are in the trailer truck, and the other are in the race car. And they get separated by about 45 minutes, So Rusty Nail concentrates on them, Austin and Joel. Ends up getting them, flipping them. He kills Austin very unnecessarily ugly. Remember, it's torture porn. So he kills him pretty ugly, and he kidnaps Joel. Contacts, like you do in all of the movies, contacts the others, Jordan, because Joel's his girlfriend. So contacts Jordan, tells him he has her, and here we go with the "you're going to do this," giving them instructions about all these things to do to try to get her back. He starts off simple as usual. He wants them to give him the car. Since you dared to try to run me off the road, I want the car, their fancy race car. Well, Jordan's not going to do that. So you end up having a bunch of back and forths. One of them, I think it's Scott, ends up, or is it, Bobby? I think it's Bobby. Bobby ends up like going, fuck this shit, I'm not having any more of this. And they actually let him out, but he gets caught as well. Rusty Nail really is very good with his plots and plans. He even manages to fool the cops in one scene. When you think that Rusty Nail has been caught, it turns out to be he had tricked another driver into taking his truck that had the body of Austin and stuff in it. So you're thinking that he's been caught. It's not him. There's a lot of really good action between them as they try to do it. They end up going to his lair, to a warehouse that he had told them to meet him at. Bunch of stuff goes down there as well. And by the time that who's left at the end, he manages to pick them off, of course, one by one, until there's really nobody left but Jordan and Elisa. Now, they thought the whole time that Jewel, this is what they were doing it all for. They thought she was alive, but then we get a scene where Rusty Nail sends him a video and shows him that he had done killed her way back by tying her to the top of the truck and then going under a bridge and literally cutting her top half off. So it was all for nothing. she had been dead, and so had Austin, and all of them. That causes a big showdown between Jordan and Rusty Nail. And Elisa shows up. She plays her. She gets in some good licks, if you will, against Rusty Nail. But this was, because at first Rusty Nail had Jordan. He was tied up in the truck, about to be killed. He didn't know Elisa would show up. She did. She manages to free him. So Elisa came to the rescue, and you think, well, maybe she's the final girl, but not really, because it flips back and becomes a fight again between Jordan and Rusty Nail. So he ends up killing him by getting his entire truck into the car smasher, crusher, automobile crusher thing. I'm not a mechanic either. So I'm not a trucker, I'm not a mechanic, so you just have to bear with me when I try to describe these things. So he put him in a car crusher thing, and the cops come, and you think, okay, maybe he's finally dead this time. They go off into the sunset, and the movie ends with, the cops saying, well, let's take a look, because you couldn't have lived through that. When they actually get I don't know what it's called, it's this claw thing, big crane with a claw on the end of it, and that's how he had crushed him on top and put him into the crusher. So when they got that out, there was no body in the truck. So you're like, okay. And then the movie ends with us seeing Rusty Nail walking down the road, and another trucker stops, opens the door, asks him if he needs a ride, and he's like, yes sir, I do, and boogie's on away. Now it's 2022, so 8 years. Rusty Nail's still alive. Obviously they can't get up the funding. I mean, if you stayed by their time frames, the truth is they should have. I mean, have you ever heard of Wrong Turn? I mean, they should have had about 10 of these motherfuckers out. Why they only have 3 of them, I don't know. But 2001, 2008, and 2014 sounds like it's about time for another one, folks. But in any event, those are the 3. And that's the way that one ends. Now, again, this movie definitely stayed in torture porn territory. It did not return to Hitcher type territory. But it kept its main themes. I really loved the intro to this movie. I thought it was awesome. I liked the action. I liked the actors. Trying to think if anyone bothered me. No, I wasn't bothered by any of them. They all acted perfectly fine. I saw no... Because, with me, when it comes to low budget, I get the eye roll. Like, that actor just isn't really good. And I can sort of gauge a movie by how many of them are in that movie. And in Joyride 2, there wasn't. And in Joyride 3, there wasn't. There was acceptable actors. Once again, it's filmed very well. Good special effects. The explosions were good. There was a couple of them in this one. The stunts were good. Trying to see if I've got any problem with it. Because once again, it's also a 6 out of 10. And it might be closer to a 7. But whereas I go up, what do they call it, round up. I usually round up a movie, but, I just wish they hadn't have went so intensely torture porn with these two. But I still like them. I would still watch them again if I do the trilogy. If I get in the mood for the Joyride trilogy, I will sit and watch them again. I do like them. Um, like I said, I've got 2,000 movies, so obviously I have a wide range of interest, and I have a good tolerance level. I'm not really bitchy. I'm not a critic. Um, if I enjoy it, I enjoy it, and if I don't, I don't. And I probably enjoy a lot of more movies than other people do because I'm not that critical, and because I have a tolerance. Um, I view a movie by what they had to work with, and did they make the best use of what they had to work with. So I can give $100 million budget movie a 10 out of 10, and I can give a $50,000 budget movie a 10 out of 10. It's just, do they make the best use of what they have? And yeah, so there you go. I like all three of these. Joyride, Joyride 2 Dead Ahead unrated, and Joyride 3 Roadkill unrated. And that is the Joyride trilogy. So far, I really like them. The first one, of course, is an absolute masterpiece. The other two are decent little road rage kill fests, and I like them. I like all three of them, and there you go. Thank you for tuning in, and always remember and never forget, you are wonderful, special, unique, individual, knucklehead. That's what Five Finger Death Punch fans are called. Knucklehead. See the knuckles? Right there. We're called knuckleheads, as in brass knuckles. But yeah, so I will see you in the next thing I do, and love you, miss you, bye. Say hi in the comments, tell me to fuck off in the comments, whatever you want to do. Just keep it civil, bitch. But love you, miss you, bye. I really enjoyed talking about these three movies, and I will see you in the next choice as I go through and figure out what I want to do next. I feel like zombies. I feel like a zombie fest. I'm in a zombie fest mood. I don't know. We'll see. I love you, miss you, bye. See you later.